Hi, I'm Karen Yates at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center. I'm a nursing clinical coordinator in the trauma service department, and I work primarily with the public on injury prevention and then with our EMS providers, our first responders. So I'm heavily involved with the mental health, probably in our first responders and in our nursing staff, but obviously also very well aware of what's going on in the community. I actually heard a quick blurb on the news this morning, and it was about a study, and I haven't read it yet, but since the 1990s, a huge decline in just overall happiness in our country. And I think there's a lot of things that can be attributed to that. Social media being a huge one for that. Signs and symptoms of stress. So it's different with everybody. I think just feeling, for some people, particularly if you haven't experienced extreme stress before, or anxiety, depression, anything like that, it's probably feeling a little off. You know something's wrong, but maybe you don't know what it is. Speaking from personal experience, I had never struggled with anxiety, and during the pandemic, about a year or two into it, I don't think related to the pandemic so much, but had some medical things going on that thankfully turned out to be nothing. But I started noticing these symptoms in myself that I'm like, you know what, I think I'm actually having panic attacks. I could feel my heart racing, I could just feel something different. Thankfully, because of the knowledge that I have as a nurse and in some of the work that I do, I knew what to do and I knew who the resources were to turn to for help. So I want to talk real briefly about a little bit of the science, and I won't get too sciencey with it. So when people are under tremendous stress, and it doesn't matter if it's a clinical person or it's people in their day-to-day lives at work with kids, whatever, when you're under tremendous stress, our body releases cortisol, and cortisol is healthy in the moment in that it gives us that energy surge that you need to deal with whatever the problem is, right? The perceived danger, let's say. Cortisol, though, increases our heart rate and blood pressure. The problem is so it puts people in what's called fight or flight mode, okay, which is a very primitive instinct. We can't control that within our body. So you're kind of in the red, I think is a good way to look at it, right? The problem is sometimes people can't reset that, and so they walk around in their daily lives in that red zone all the time. So the first thing I think is just recognizing that that's happening. Maybe you realize that your blood pressure feels a little higher, your heart rate's faster than what it used to be. It's sometimes just stopping, taking some deep breaths, thinking about something different. We're in a meditation garden. You know, meditation works great. Deep breathing exercises work great for some people, but I think the recognition is the first thing. And then just, I started doing some deep breathing exercises. I found a great, it's like a 15-minute video on Amazon Prime, and it's guided meditation. And it works really well to get you to go through these various exercises and really relax your body from head to toe. Just kind of close your eyes, give yourself 15 minutes to do that as often as you need to and as often as you can work it into your day-to-day life. It's amazing that just breathing techniques really can help to break that stress. The military uses it all the time. So the Navy SEALs, I think, probably first developed it, and it's called box breathing, SEAL breathing. There's lots of different names for it, and there's different techniques to do it. But essentially, take a nice deep breath, breathe in for 4 to 5 seconds, and then hold it for 4 to 5 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 to 5 seconds, and then go back and repeat that, about 10 times or so. And it's amazing how that really makes a difference for you. Talk to people, and sometimes that's just family or friends. And I think many times you find that there's people that are experiencing a lot of the same things. I find that just talking through it helps immensely. If that's not enough, you've tried that, you still feel like you're walking around in that red zone I spoke about, you feel like you're still there all the time, I would probably go the next step at that point and talk to your primary care physician. And then make the decision. If you feel comfortable or have the resources to be able to go direct to see a counselor, I would go that step first. Your primary care physician, sometimes they'll refer you for some type of therapy. Some of them may want to jump right to medication. I would say if you can do something else before you get on medication, it's worth a try, okay? I actually was at a conference the end of the year, and the keynote speaker was Erica Nyberg, and she's the First Lady of San Antonio, and she's also an executive with HEB. And she made a comment that really has resonated with me ever since. And she said, we live in a society of negative anticipation. And just think about that, and think about it's always the waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? And so it's how do we reset our minds to think in a positive way versus always waiting for something bad to happen, right? You threw a 4-year pandemic in the middle of it, which didn't help. But I think we're hit with so many, whether it's social media, it's political turmoil, it's everything. You're getting bombarded from all sides. And so I think it's limiting things, limiting social media time. People struggle with that, obviously, with their kids, but it applies to us as well. Limiting the amount of bad information that we watch or that we read. Because let's face it, most of it's the same thing over and over. It's just sometimes making some of those small adjustments, which giving up some social media can be a big adjustment for people. Making those short steps first. So there's a lot of things that we can do just in day-to-day life that will help with overall stress and anxiety. So finding your why. If you're not sure what your why is, then you need to identify why we do what we do. For some people it's family, for some people their why is getting to retirement. It's different for everybody. Or if you already know what it is, reconnecting with it if you've lost that. And then there's things that we can do every day. Find something that you enjoy. Many people already have that. If you enjoy going to the gym, then make sure you carve out that time to go to the gym. If you enjoy being in nature, get out in nature, right? Go for a walk. Even at work, you can take 10 minutes to get outside and walk, or even walk within an office building if you're in that setting. Journaling, I found, works really, really well. That can be official in some type of a journal book if you choose to buy that. You can put notes in your phone or in your computer. It's however you choose to do it. But I like to, at the end of every day, write down what are the 2 or 3 good things that I'm really, really grateful for that day. And it helps to overshadow maybe some of the bad experiences or the negative things that you've had that day. If you like to dance, then get out and dance. If you like to sail, go sail. But just find those things or reconnect with those things that many times, because we're so busy, we lose touch with. Last words of wisdom for this group would be, first is recognition. For so many years, we've had such a stigma on anything that fell under the label of mental health. And mental health is no different than being diabetic, having heart disease, some kind of respiratory illness, whatever it is. And we've got to get better at accepting that in our society and recognizing that it's okay to not be okay. The flip side of that is it's also completely okay to be okay. So if other people feel like they're struggling around you and you're not, well, that's okay too. Count your blessings for that. But knowing that it's okay to talk about it, find those people within your circle, whether that's church, your friends, family that you can talk to. If you don't have that, or that's not accomplishing what you need to accomplish, in addition to some of those other techniques that we talked about, then I would seek some type of help for that. Find a therapist, go talk to your primary care physician, particularly if you feel like you need medications to deal with what's going on. And in the realm of therapy, I will tell you, therapy, a lot of people go into that very full of anticipation, negative anticipation. And if you don't have a good experience, then find another therapist. It's not one-stop shopping. So sometimes the first one, if you don't connect with them, then go to a second one. Find somebody else. There's a lot of great resources out there.